Foreign relations of Australia. Diplomatic missions of Australia. Over recent decades, Australia's foreign relations have been driven by a close association with the United States through the ANZUS Pact, and by a focus on relationships within the Asia-Pacific region. A regional power, Australia is a member of regional and cultural groupings including the Pacific Islands Forum, the Pacific Community and the Commonwealth of Nations, and is a participant in the ASEAN+6 mechanism and the East Asia Summit. Australia is a member of several defense, intelligence and security groupings including the Five Eyes Intelligence Alliance, with the United States, United Kingdom, Canada and New Zealand, the ANZUS Alliance, with the United States and New Zealand, the AUKUS Security Treaty, with the United States and United Kingdom, the Quadrilateral Security Dialogue, with the United States, India and Japan, the Five Power Defense Arrangements, with New Zealand, the United Kingdom, Malaysia and Singapore, and the Reciprocal Access Defense and Security Agreement with Japan. Australia has pursued the cause of international trade liberalization. It led the formation of the Cairns Group in Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation and is a member of the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, OECD, and the World Trade Organization, WTO. In recent decades, Australia has entered into the Comprehensive and Progressive Agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership and the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership multilateral free trade agreements as well as bilateral free trade agreements with the United States, China, Japan, South Korea, Indonesia, the United Kingdom and New Zealand. Australia maintains a deeply integrated relationship with neighboring New Zealand, with free mobility of citizens between the two countries under the Trans-Tasman Travel Arrangement and free trade under the Closer Economic Relations Agreement. The most favorably viewed countries by the Australian people in 2021 include New Zealand, the United Kingdom, Japan, Germany, Taiwan, Thailand, the United States and South Korea. A founding member country of the United Nations, Australia is strongly committed to multilateralism and maintains an international aid program under which some 60 countries receive assistance. Australia ranks 15th overall in the Centre for Global Development's 2012 Commitment to Development Index. Military: Australian Defence Force, Royal Australian Navy, Australian Army, and Royal Australian Air Force. HMAS Canberra, a Canberra-class landing helicopter dock, an HMAS Arunta, an Anzac-class frigate, sailing in formation. Australia's Armed Forces. The Australian Defence Force, ADF, comprise the Royal Australian Navy, RAN, the Australian Army and the Royal Australian Air Force, RAAF, in total numbering 81,214 personnel, including 57,982 regulars and 23,232 reservists, as of November 2015. The titular role of Commander-in-Chief is vested in the Governor-General, who appoints a Chief of the Defence Force from one of the armed services on the advice of the government in a hierarchy. The Chief of the Defence Force serves as co-chairman of the Defence Committee, conjointly with the Secretary of Defence, in the command and control of the Australian Defence Organisation. In the 2016-2017 budget, defense spending comprised 2% of GDP, representing the world's 12th largest defense budget. Australia has been involved in United Nations and regional peacekeeping, disaster relief, as well as armed conflicts from the First World War onwards. Energy policy of Australia and renewable energy. In Australia in 2003, Australia's energy sources were coal, 58.4%, hydropower 19.1%, natural gas 13.5%, liquid/gas fossil fuel switching plants 5.4%, oil 2.9%, and other renewable resources like wind power, solar energy, and bioenergy 0.7%. During the 21st century, Australia has been trending to generate more energy using renewable resources and less energy using fossil fuels. In 2020, Australia used coal for 62% of all energy, 3.6% increase compared to 2013, wind power for 9.9%, 9.5% increase, natural gas for 9.9%, 3.6% decrease, solar power for 9.9%, 9.8% increase, hydropower for 6.4%, 12.7% decrease, bioenergy for 1.4%, 1.2% increase, and other sources like oil and waste coal mine gas for 0.5%. In August 2009, Australia's government set a goal to achieve 20% of all energy in the country from renewable sources. By 2020 they achieved this goal as renewable resources accounted for 27.7% of Australia's energy in 2020. Science and technology. In 2019, Australia spent a $35.6 billion on research and development, allocating about 1.79% of GDP. A recent study by Accenture for the Tech Council shows that the Australian tech sector combined contributes $167 billion a year to the economy and employs 861,000 people. The country's most recognized and important sector of this type is mining, where Australia continues to have the highest penetration of technologies, especially drones, autonomous and remote controlled vehicles and mine management software. In addition, the Australian recent startup ecosystem is growing annually at rates of 5.8%, and the Sydney and Melbourne ecosystems are already valued at $25 billion. Australia consistently has ranked high in the Global Innovation Index, GII. In 2021, Australia ranked 25th out of the 132 economies featured in the GII 2021, down from 23rd in 2020 and 22nd position in 2019.